Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you for the DeKalb County Library System, and this is the last tutorial for 2023. So I thought I would end with one of my favorite pieces. A few videos ago, we did an abstract cubist bracelet, and I just love it. It's one of my favorite pieces to wear, and so I thought we could make a necklace on the same uh, similar design, but the same type of wrap for the beads. So that's what we're going to do. It's a really simple piece. And what we're going to use, what I'm going to use, is some rectangle beads, um, some rectangle beads for the focal piece, linked with some 4mm beads as well. And I just want to get down here and get to it because I'm really looking forward to this necklace to kind of go with my bracelet. I'm really not much of a matchy person, so I don't think I would wear them both together, but if I do, that's fine. And it's not the exact same thing. The bracelet has infinity links, and this necklace is going to actually have beaded links. So it's going to be a little bit different. The only thing that's really going to be the same are going to be the rectangle beads that are wrapped in a cubist um, inspired way. So let's talk about what we need. All we need, or what I'm using, is some rectangle beads. The ones that I'm using are, let's see how many millimeters. They are 5, 10, 12, 13, 14. 14 millimeters or 15. 14 millimeters, rectangle, 14 by 6. And I'm using 4mm rounds for the links. I'm also using chain to connect it. We're going to make our own clasp and loop for the back. And the pliers that you need are round nose, called so because they are round. Flat nose or square because they are squared off on the outside. And sometimes people get a little confused because it's slightly rounded, but it actually is completely flat on the inside. So that qualifies as a square plier, and it makes square shapes. The other thing that you can use is pliers, and you can, there's a couple of different kinds. You can use this kind, which is just your standard cutters with a flat back and a concave front, or you can use flush cutters. They do the same thing, except that this will get into little tight spaces. But I've always also found that these don't cut as well on the tip as these do. They're a little stronger. So that's what we need: the rectangle beads, the 4mm rounds, some 20 gauge wire, chain, and our tools. So let's get started. Let's get going on this. Get down here to the other camera. Okay, so what we're going to use, I'm using this beautiful bloodstone, rectangle bloodstone bead. Isn't that gorgeous? And I could not for the life of me find 4mm bloodstone rounds, which really made me sad, but I was able to find these garnet stones that are so similar that I am very happy with it. Those of you who get kits will get your cubed beads, your rectangle beads, and beads that will coordinate with them to create your links. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to need, oh, I forgot to tell you, you need a ruler because you need to measure out your wire. So I'm going to measure out 12 inches of wire. Here, there we go. 12 inches of wire. Cut that off. Then I'm going to slide my bead on. I'm doing this really close to the table because I'm doing this at night. I usually try to do it during the day when I have some natural light. And I'm hoping that everything is very visible. And I think it is. I sure can see everything. But anyway, I'm sliding it down to the middle of my wire, and I'm just eyeballing it where the middle is, but you can actually measure it out if you want to. So I'm going to go about a half an inch away from my bead and put a bend in, just like that. Then I'm going to go to the other side, also half an inch, and I'm going to bend it in the other direction. There we go. And now I'm going to start to create my wrap. But first, what I want to do is bend this again. And you can just use your fingers to bend it, or if you want a little sharper bend, you can use your pliers. And I don't want it to be too wide. So what I'm going to do is just slide my wire down to approximately where I want the size to be. And you can see how big it's going to be when you bend it over your pliers by looking at the size on the outside here. So I think that's wide enough. It doesn't have to be too wide. I'm going to bend that over my pliers like so. And there's my first bend on the one side. Go to the other side. Again, find my little half-inch mark. Put my pliers in and bend. I'm going to check and see if it looks like they both are about the same size. They do. This one might be a little bit bigger. Just, I mean, such a fraction bigger that it probably doesn't matter, but I'm going to go ahead and rebend a little smaller. Get in there. There we go. So there are my two little bends. It looks like a square S. So now I'm going to start wrapping the tail of my wire around my bead. And I'm just going to give it, this is what we're going for. Just going to give it a couple of wraps. This is very, very organic and abstract, hence the name of the piece. So I'm going to take one tail and I'm going to wrap it around the bead. It's nice and close like that. And then I'm going to bring the other one down the other side of the bead. Just like that. And continue to wrap. And down the other side. I'm going to take this one and follow that one. And again, you can use your fingers or you can use your pliers. I just want to make sure it's nice and the wraps are nice and close to each other. There we go. You know, it looks like something out of the Twilight Zone. And wrap that one nice and close. And then go to the inside one again and bend it. Again, I can use my pliers if I want a really sharp bend. There we go. And one more bend to the other side. Good, and nice. And there we go. There's our wrap. That's as far as I need to go with my wraps. Let's go one more time across the top here. Yeah, go ahead and use the pliers since I did it for all the others. Nice. And then one more time across this one. And I want my wraps to be beside each other. So I'm wrapping the wire around itself. Nice and close. And I just start it with the pliers, and then that way I can control the bend. Here we go. So there's my little wrap. It really does look like something out of the beginning of the Twilight Zone, the old one, for anybody who's old enough to remember that. I'm not going to start singing the do 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 do. See, I did it. Why? Okay. Anyway, so now it's time to wrap this up to kind of lock it down, secure my wrap. So I'm going to take the tail of my wire and I'm just going to wrap it around this frame. And I want to hold on to this because I don't want to pull my wrap out of whack. I want it to stay nice and close to the other wraps. And then wrap that around once and twice. Now you can do as many wraps as you want, but I have something that I want to do with this tail. So I'm going to have to stop there. And you also want to leave space for your beads that you're going to link to this. And there's also a little swirl that's going to go in there, a little spiral. So you don't want to close it up too much. Okay, and let's wrap this side, holding onto my wires so they don't shift. Wrap that around once and twice. Yeah, one more time around to the front. There we go. Now, what I want to do is cut these down, cut this side down to the same size that this one is. This one is about 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to cut this one down to the same size. Yeah, there we go. Just snip that off. Hold on to that tip so it doesn't go flying around the room. And so this is what we have. And so now I'm going to make a little spiral. It's going to be a tiny spiral. It doesn't have to be anything too large because I want it to fit down in this little frame. So I'm going to go grab my round nose pliers. And I'm going to grab the tip of my wire. Let's get it right up there where you can see what I'm doing. Make sure that it's firmly encased in between the pliers and not sticking out the back. Because I want a nice clean loop. Okay. Give it one turn. Give it another turn. And I want to turn until I have almost a full loop. I'm going to stop right there because I don't need it to hit the back of the wire. I want to make an open loop with an open spiral. So I'm going to continue to wrap. And turn. See if you can see what I'm doing. And wrapping the wire around itself until I create a spiral. It's kind of awkward to have to try to do it this way on the camera. Right this way so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to pop this up a little bit so I think it'll be easier for me to maneuver and easier for you to see. And once I get to this point, I'm going to change to my square pliers, slide that under my loop, and finish it the rest of the way. So there's my little spiral. And I'm going to push that down to right between the bars of my frame. Let's put it right down in there, just like that. Then I'm going to go to the other side and I'm going to do the same thing. Just grab the tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers. I'm going to make a 3/4 loop. Like that. And just keep looping, wrapping the wire around itself so I can make a nice spiral. I think that's good enough for there. Just keep going. Until it's small enough to fit inside my frame. There we go. There's my little spiral. And let's just pop it down in the frame. Over just a little bit more. There we go. And there's our little abstract bead. There they are. This is going to be our focal piece. Yay! All right, so now let's make our little connectors out of our little garnet stem. Yeah, and we're just going to do a simple link. And for that, all I need is about 1" of wire. Give yourself about 1 1/8 just to be safe. And that way you don't have to worry about struggling with the wire. What I would really suggest is that you leave it intact. Those of you who get kits are going to have a nice long strand of wire. Don't cut it. Just leave it like this. Otherwise, you'll put this on here and you'll have to really struggle with this tiny little size. It's easier if you have a longer length of wire. So I'm just going to feed my bead on, I think. I'm going to feed my bead on. I can find the drill point. There it is. And then I'm going to make a simple loop. Now I'm going to show you 2 ways to make your loop. So I'm just going to go in with the straight wire and I'm going to make a small loop. I'm going to slide my pliers down about 1/4 inch away from the tip. And I'm going to rotate, give it one little turn, open my pliers. Now notice the wire is not moving. It's all about the pliers, which is why I have my thumb and finger holding it in place. Rotate my pliers back just to reposition them. Clamp back down, rotate again, open, rotate back, clamp back down, and keep doing that until you have a loop. And there's my loop. Ta-da! Now I want my loop to be centered on my wire. So I'm going to go in with the tip of my pliers right here at the tip of my loop. And I'm going to bend back until my wire is centered on top. Here we go. And I'm going to slide my bead down and see how it's, the loop is nice and centered on top of my bead. We want to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to show you the second way that you can make your loop. First of all, I'm going to clip this off down to about 3/8 of an inch to 1/2 an inch, depending on how big you want your loop to be. 3/8 of an inch is plenty for where I'm going with my loop. I'm going to clip that off. And then I'm going to bend the wire to a right angle. And the reason that I do that is you saw when I started with a straight piece of wire and made a loop, the loop ended up on the side, and then I bent it back to get it in the center. Well, if I bend it first and loop it, it will end up on the top. So if you start on the top, it ends on the side. If you start on the side, it ends up on the top. That's the secret. Very simple. Okay, so the other thing is, this is my way of doing it. If I have the tip of my loop on this side for this side of my bead, I want the tip on the other side to go on the other side, because I just find that it creates a better balance. And that's just me. It doesn't have to be you. That's just the way that I do it. So the tip of my wire is over here. So I'm going to go on the other side with the other tip, meaning that I need to bend my wire back in the same direction that the tip is on my other side. And I'm going to take my pliers, again, slide my wire down about 1/4 of an inch from the tip. And make my loop. I'm going to rotate, open, reposition, clamp down, rotate, open, reposition, clamp back down, and keep doing that until I have a loop. And there's my loop. Now, in case you haven't noticed, this loop is flat, and this loop is going off to the side. I don't want that. I want them both to go the same direction. So I'm going to take my pliers on one side, take a second pair of pliers on the other side. See how this pair of pliers is facing up and the other one is to the side? I'm going to twist until they're both facing the same direction. And there's my link. Now, the second thing is, see how this one is beautifully resting against the bead? This one has a little neck. I don't want that neck. So what I'm going to do is go in with my pliers and cut off the tiniest bit off the tip, about the same size as the neck that I see down here. So I'm going to go ahead and snip off the inside right there at the tip of my bead. Snip that off. And now you'll see I have a little opening there, and I'm going to close that up. And the neck disappears. Here we go. Let's do that again. So much fun. Okay, grab my bead, slide it on my wire. If I can find the drill point. There it is. Okay. Make my loop. Just like I did before. 1/4 of the way, 1/4 of an inch down my pliers. Rotate until I have a loop. bend my loop back until it's centered on top of my wire here. Make sure that's closed. I see a tiny opening. Don't want that. There we go. Slide my bead down. Cut off down to about 3/8 to 1/2 inch, depending on how big you want your loop to be. Put that off. You can stay right there. You don't have to go that far away. Find the tip. It's over here. Bend the wire back the same side that the tip is on. Grab my round nose pliers. Slide my wire down 1/4 of the way down my pliers. And rotate until I have a loop. Am I going to have a neck this time? I am. I'm giving myself too much wire. Let's cut that off. Really big neck this time. I have to even cut more. Yeah, I'm still seeing a little bit of a neck. I don't want that. Snip that off. Is that enough? Let's see. But you're better off snipping off too little and then snipping off more later than snipping off too much, because if you take too much of it off, you're going to have to start all over. I'd rather do it in small increments. There we go. That's good. Make sure that's nice and flush. And there we go. So here are my linking beads. Oops. And they're going to link my focal piece. Yay! Let's do this. Okay, let's put it all together. So very simple. This is the way this is going to go. You can decide what you want to be the front and what you want to be the back. You can either have the bead be the focal points with a frame on the back, or you can have the wrap and the bead being the focal point together. I like both of them showing. So that's what I'm going to do. Let me push this down a little bit more. This little loop is a little big for its frame. Get down in there. There you go. Nice. Okay. So now what we're going to do, oh, this one is too. Got a little carried away with my, oh no, it's good. With my little spirals. Okay, so now what we're going to do is attach our links. And in order to do that, I have to have some space up here. There we go. Move that down. Squeeze my little wraps together a little closer. There we go. Okay, so now it's time to put everything together. There we go. Yeah. And you want to decide how you want it to go. I'm going to one on the left. This is on the left. This is on the right. This is on the left. Because the way it's wrapped, they're going to be on opposite sides. So you want to decide how you want it to hang. These a little bit bigger. And this is very free form, so remember that. It's not going to be a perfection thing. It's an artistic thing. So this is the way it's going to go. Yeah. And then these last two are going to connect it to the chain. Okay, let's put it together. Simple, simple, simple. So I'm going to go ahead and put one on my first bead. Find a spot to hook it into. And close. And open the next one. And the way I open my loops, I don't pull them apart, because if you pull it apart like that, then you're going to ruin the shape of your circle. What you want to do is just twist it up like so, slide it on, and twist it closed. So I'm just sliding that inside of my frame. Go to the other side, same thing. Twist that open. Decide how I want this to lay. Yeah, I want it to go that way. Slide that inside the frame and close it. And make sure it's completely closed. Go to the other side. Open up my link, twisting it up there. Attach to the frame, close it. And make sure it's closed. The finishing is very important. You want to make sure that all of your loops are completely closed, nice and neat, because you don't want to lose part of your necklace because you didn't check your links. Okay, let's do the last centerpiece here. Open that up. And hook it on to my frame of my last focal bead. Twist it closed. And let's go to the side bead. Open. Attach. Wait. I did this right? No, see, this one's upside down. I want all of the wire to be on top, so I need to reopen this one. And the easiest way to tell, there's a couple of ways you can tell. So I'm going to reopen that. Now, one way that you can tell which way to hook this in is to lay this flat. Have the bead facing up the way you want it, and then hook this in that way. The other way you can do it is to put your beads, the back to back. You know that's going to go that way, and then hook it in. And then when you lay it flat, both of the beads are on, both of the upsides are up. And then close that. Make sure it's closed. And then double check. Make sure everything's laying the way I want it. Yes. There we go. And now let's put that last bead on. Slide that in the frame and close. What's next? Attach it to the chain. So what I'm going to do is find the center of my chain. So I'm just going to put the two last links together. Let my chain hang down and just snip off right here in the center. And there's that little center link right there. Snip that off. And then that little link went flying across the room. And then there is my chain. All I need to do is open up my linking bead, open that loop, slide it inside that last loop on my chain, and close. Now, you can use a jump ring if you want, but I'm trying to get a continuous pattern here, and the loops I made are about the same size as my chain, so it's not disruptive. It just looks like it's part of it. If I put a jump ring on, I'd either have to find the tiniest jump ring known to man, or it would show. You would be able to see the connection. I want to make it as well organically natural looking as possible, if that makes any sense. So again, I'm going to open my loop to the side, slide it on, slide that on my last little link of my chain. Get in there. Oh my goodness. The other one went on so nice and easy, I can't believe it. That's telling me I'm overdue. Hurry it up, Virginia. You've got a few more minutes. Okay, there we go. Slide that on, close it up. And we almost have a necklace. But we have to be able to hook it. Oh, isn't that pretty though? Oh my gosh. That is beautiful. Anyway, so now let's put our clasp on that we're going to make. Oh, that is so pretty. Okay, anyway, so let me go ahead and grab a piece of wire. The first thing I'm going to make is the hook. So for that, I need about 3 inches of wire. 3 inches. There we go. Right there. There we go. 3 inches of wire. Then I'm going to bend one end of my wire at about 1 1/8 inches. Doesn't need to be any more than that, because this is going to be a very simple loop hook. It doesn't have to be that long. So go 1 1/8 inches and put a bend in the wire. And let's get that little bend out at the end. Bend both of those wires together, the short tail right beside the long tail. And squeeze them together as close as you can get with your fingers. And when you can't go any further with your fingers, grab your pliers and squeeze it the rest of the way. You just want those wires as close as you can get, side by side. Now you can do it this way, but I always end up with a little dip in my wire. when I do that, and I don't like it. This is not as easy as if you did it with just a very short piece of wire sticking out. I just like the look of it better if I do it this way. You just have to be patient with yourself when you're doing that. Okay, so this is the beginning of my hook. So I want to go down I want to give myself about 3/4 of an inch for my hook. Okay, so 3/4 of an inch from the bended tip. And I'm going to go down here to the bottom and pull that short tail up, just like that. Then I'm going to grasp both of my wires side by side with my pliers, get a good grip on them. You don't have to squeeze the life out of it, because if it's coated, if your wire's coated, you don't want to ruin that. But slide it down to the middle point of your pliers and you won't have to grip so hard. And then wrap that tail around your stem of wire. And the reason I say make sure you have a good grip is because it's going to try to twist and pull apart, and you don't want that to happen. And this is a very short tail, so I'm going to go ahead and take my round nose pliers and finish wrapping that around. And I only need one wrap, really, because I'm going to it's going to be nice and secure. You can give yourself 1.5. So that's 1. Let's go half on the other side. And now I'm going to push that little tail down until it rests against the single wire. Now, I like to cut this off so that the little tip is right here in between these two wires, because that way it won't stick up off to the side where it can scratch something, scratch your skin, catch on your clothes. You don't want that. So this is a very short little tip. I'm going to turn it down into my spool and cut it off. And look at that. It still managed to get away. Anyway, I tried. Okay, and let's take my pliers and push this little tip down against my wire, just under the wrapped part. And it's right there in between those little wires where I wanted it to go. Yay! So now I'm going to flip this over. The reason I like this under here is because my hook is going to go over it. And now that cannot hurt anything or anyone. So now I'm going to flip over. I'm going to grab, you can either use your round or your square pliers. And I'm going to put a little bend in the rounded folded tip. I'm just going to bend that up. Boom. Just like that. Then I'm going to go up here to where it's wrapped, and I'm going to bend that up. Just like that. Then I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to slide my wire all the way to the back of my pliers. I'm going to give myself about 1/4 of an inch of wire beyond my pliers. And I'm going to wrap all the way around, open, wrap back, and hold that over. Just wrap it until I have a shepherd's hook. So there's my hook. And now I'm going to take this other side and just make a simple loop, just like we did with our connecting beads. So I'm going to clip this off down to about 1/2 inch. Grab my round nose pliers And this loop needs to go side to side. This is going up and down. This is going this way, and the loop is going the other way. Whatever way your hook is going, your loop is going the opposite. Okay, I'm going to bend that off until I have the right angle. Go down to about a quarter of the way, or about a third of the way down my pliers, and I'm going to wrap until I have a loop. And there we go. There's my little loop. Yay. So now I need to make the hook. I mean the loop. This is my little hook. Now I need to make the loop that my hook is going to fasten onto. Okay, so for that, I need 2 inches of wire. 2 inches. There we go. Snip that off. Straighten that out a little bit. There we go, nice and straight. So now what I want to do is make a wrapped loop on one side and a simple loop on the other side. The wrapped loop is going to be the large loop that my hook is going to go into. So what I'm going to do is go down about halfway down my wire, maybe a little more than halfway, and I'm going to bend my wire back like so at a right angle. And then I'm going to take my pliers and slide them under the longest tail. There's the short one, there's the long one. I'm going to put my pliers under my long tail like that. And I'm going to bring that tail over the side and around my pliers until it meets the other wire. Can't go any further. Then I'm going to, without moving my wire, I'm going to open my pliers and reposition them, clamp back down, and bring that tail all the way under my pliers, like so. And now I have a loop. And now I'm going to wrap that tail around the stem of my wire. And again, you only need a couple of wraps. Short tail, use my other pliers to wrap that around. And again, I want it to end in the middle of my loop. I don't want it sticking out on the side. Take my pliers, snip off that little end. Let's use my spool, get down in there this time. Boop. Grab my square pliers and find the tip. There it is, sticking up, and push it down. Nice and close under the other wraps. Nice and tight. I'm gonna use that together. There we go. There. Nice. And now we're going to make the small loop that's going to go in my chain. For that, I'm going to bend my wire to the side again, like that. Nope, wrong. This loop is going this way. The other loop is going to go the opposite. So it's going to, this one's flat, this one's up and down. So that's what we have. I'm going to cut this off down to about 1/2 inch. Grab my round nose pliers, slide my wire down about 1/3 of the way down my pliers this time, like I did the other one, I think. Or did I do 1/4? Yeah, there we go. And make a loop. Rotate, open, rotate back, and back down, rotate, open, keep doing that until I have a loop. And there we go. Oops, not quite closed. Got a little gap. There we go. And there's my loop. One that goes flat, this goes up and down. That goes flat, and this goes up and down. All right, let's attach everything. Let's put it all together. Okay, so I'm going to open up my little loop. Where's the opening? Goodness, I've got it so flushed I can't even find the opening. It's on the other side. There it is. Open that up. Slide that tail into the last loop of my chain and close it. Here we go. And then the same on the other side. Open that loop. Slide it into the last link of my chain. And close. All right. There it is. There it is. There it is in all its glory. Ah, I am really going to like this a lot. Let me go ahead and put it on a little display so that you can see it. And let's see what that looks like. There it is. I love it. This is our abstract cubist necklace. Oh, I'm really looking forward to wearing this. This is so neat. I wish I had brought the bracelet so you could see both of them in case you didn't see the other video. But oh, I really am going to enjoy this. I like it when we can do some artistic pieces, and this is one of our most artistic. I just really enjoy doing this, something that's not all, you have to, everything's perfectly symmetrical. This is where the fun comes in for me. I just love it. And I know that freaks some people out because they want everything measured down to perfection. But the art of jewelry making I mean, that's how you create new things. Otherwise everything would look the same. So, and I hope you enjoyed this. And those of you who get kits, I hope that you enjoy the stones that I put in each of the kits, because I wanted all of them to be different, even though you were using the same design. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know one way or the other. My email is jewelrygen20@gmail.com. That's jewelrygin20@gmail.com. Or you can comment on the library Facebook page under the post for this piece, which would be facebook.com/decavlibrary. That's facebook.com/DEKALBLIBRARY. I hope to hear from you. It's been a great year. I hope that you've enjoyed the videos, and I hope that you are looking forward to seeing more of them. I'm certainly looking forward to doing more of them, as well as the live classes. So until next year, have a great rest of your year. Have a great holiday, and we will see you in 2024. Bye-bye.